Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt
And
Roast.
I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
We are here with our reaction and review for From Season 4, Episode 10. This is the finale, but more so than that, this is the last time we're ever going to be able to say this is a season finale because next time around, we're at the end of the series. Season 5 is coming. You don't have to worry about that. We're going to get answers. That is the final season.
Okay, was this the finale? Because this really felt like this was just the end to a regular episode. That's how I'm coming out of this finale. We've had some amazing finales. Man, that finale when the bus pulled up is one of the best finales I've ever seen of a show that just gave me chills down my spine. And this finale, I was just like, this just feels like the end of an episode. I don't get finale feeling. I'm not walking away from this being like, man, that was good. Did you see that one? I'm just like, there were some things that were okay, but in general, this fell really flat for me.
I think
Oh,
that.
I forgot to put my hard
Oh,
hat on for the
oh, okay.
commenters
Well,
here.
sorry,
Okay.
sorry.
Hard hat on. This fell flat.
Okay. Well, here's the thing for me is that how you felt about the bus turning up, that was me with Jim being killed off. That was me with the man in yellow reveal last season where we had this character
That was
who
wild.
comes out of nowhere, looks incredibly creepy. And yeah, I know Boyd and Harold, like that's the star of the show. But Jim, that actor, he was one of the only other actors I knew before coming into From. And so like losing him midway through the show, like that was a huge draw dropper. And what I am
Yeah.
looking for personally with the finale of a show is a wow moment where I feel like screaming at somebody afterwards. Like, can you believe that happened? Like, there are some moments in the finale that I think that's interesting, but it's
Mhm.
more of a wow than a wow. And that distinction to me is really, really important. And that's why I buy into what you're saying about this feeling like a regular episode. And I think more than that, the biggest wow moment to me wasn't the final scene, but rather the ones before it. And that kind of meant that the ending didn't stick the landing in the way it probably could have.
A whole bunch of people in this episode, and
Yes.
I'm sitting here being like, the plane is just sailing. We're not getting that many answers on things. And I actually thought that this finale was going to drop a lot more in the way of answers because there's only one season left. And now I'm sitting back being like, is one season enough to give us all the answers? Or are we just going to get a final season where everybody gets out, but not everything's explained? And that's okay because that's not okay.
No, it's not. The only situation where that is okay is with the leftovers, where Damon came up before the show started and was just like, guess what? You're not getting all of the answers. So I had years of fair warning there. There is no fair warning here. We need answers. It would have sure been nice to have more of them
Mhm.
in this finale, but we'll go more into some things that could have been changed, the stuff we did have that was interesting. We'll dive more into what, of course, the final season could look like
Mhm.
before we go any further here. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are in the midst now of season 3 of House of the Dragon on HBO. It got off to an amazing start, like one of its best episodes ever, and
Mhm.
I feel pretty confident they're going to be able to continue that trend. We're really excited to be diving into that show.
We're also covering the Vampire Lestat, and
Mm.
coming up really soon is Silo season 3. We're going to be back for that show as well. So hit that subscribe button and stick with us and join our YouTube memberships. It's a great way
Mhm.
to help support us here at the channel. And on our YouTube memberships, we have exclusive videos, theories, discussion about this show, about Silo, about everything that we are covering currently at the channel. We will have extra videos for our YouTube memberships, and we are covering sugar there exclusively. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys. We very, very much appreciate your support. I just want to start with the final scene here for a moment where we had Sophia and the boy slash man in white in
Mhm.
those final seconds talking as though almost that they're playing a game and they're going back and forth with each other. And one of them is trying to win out. Is this going to be the instance where the boy in white actually does it? And here's beyond just the fact that this wasn't the biggest jaw dropper of the episode, and I don't think the show ended
No.
as good as it could have, here's the other analogy I would make, because I don't want to keep saying reheating nachos. I've said that too many times, even if I love nachos. So here is how I would compare this, where Lost, which we know had some of the same people who work on From, they did this big episode with the man in black, the man in white. It's like going into a bakery, you get a cookie that has some blue icing on it, and then you see the next week they're advertising a brand new cookie. It's like the Firebird cookie with red icing, and you expect everything different, and it's just the same flavor cookie with red icing. Like, that is what this is starting to feel like. I don't need From to lean into these same ideas that it felt like Lost was really leaning into at the end. And this just feels too similar for me to be like really, really excited about it.
Yeah, unless this town is some sort of purgatory or, down below.
Yeah.
A lot of us think that that could be the case. Unless it's something like that, where we've got the boy in white and the man in yellow, and they're fighting for souls, then this makes sense. And I can deal with this to some degree. But they are reheating the nachos in this sort of like, it's the man in white, it's the man in black. We
Yeah.
have this whole episode about them. And now we're just getting just the beginning of these two, where the boy in white is like, oh, I think I might be getting a win because they have the bones this time. And, you've got Sophia being like, oh, but they pulled that tree. And we spoke a little bit about the tree in our
Mhm.
last video as well, that the tree that is pulled could be the tree that they run into on the road, where it almost is like a reset button, that if they pull
Yeah.
that tree ends up in the road and it starts capturing more and more people. And because otherwise, then what's the problem with pulling out the tree? Is it opening up a portal? Is it taking away a portal? Because that was my big thing about taking the tree out, was
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, we know that while Dale went through and ended up in a pool, Tabitha went through and ended up at the lighthouse and ended up home. So if there's a way to actually get through this tree to get to the lighthouse to get home, and things have to be done in a certain way, because yes, we all know that Sarah and Boyd came across the lighthouse wandering around, but Tabitha went through the tree, got to the lighthouse, and went home, and we know that that worked. So why are you pulling the tree? Why
Yeah.
are you pulling the tree?
It's still something that has a lot of questions around it.
And that's why I think Sophia is sitting back being like, okay, maybe you got the win of the bones, but I
Yeah.
got a win that they pulled the tree. And so far, that's the only way any of them have been able to get out of here so far.
I think it's setting up a situation where it's still possible for them to escape, but as Sophia is sort of boasting, it's probably a lot more difficult now. They have to figure out an entirely new solution that they
Mhm.
don't seemingly have, and they don't have a lot of answers. It doesn't seem like the boy in white is just out here communicating with everybody. We know he's communicating with Victor, but not everybody wants to listen to Victor. But I think the other issue that I'm having with the final minutes, and it might just be an issue with me. Everybody else may be more than fine with it. And it's nothing against Sophia or Julia, the actress, or anything she's doing. She's doing exactly what the producers want her to do. But it's just, we already know that the man in yellow was there before Sophia. And I'm sitting back being like, okay, was somebody there before the man in yellow? Like, I want to see this entity's true form one way or another. Like, I want that sort of backstory. And to me, this ending would have been a lot more of that uppercase wow if they had shown Sophia transform into like the original person or thing, and then we actually get something that we don't anticipate on that visual level.
I just feel like if you're going to have the boy in white and Sophia, or the man in yellow, having this conversation revealed nothing to me, nothing. So if you're going to have this conversation where we, all the audience, see that there is a back and forth between the boy in
Yeah.
white, the man in yellow, there needs to be a little bit more of this conversation of, well, what is it you guys are actually fighting for? Is it souls? Is it something else? Like, are one of you fighting to keep them there? The other is fighting for freedom for them? What is it that you guys are actually battling over, so that going into the next season, season, we have an idea, we, the audience,
Mhm.
know what the town is up against, but the town doesn't know what they're up against.
Yeah, I would appreciate that. I'm not saying you guys need to hand us everything on a silver platter, but at least like give
No.
us an appetizer, like give us something tasty so that we can prepare more for the main course. And it just feels like they are holding a little too much back because to me,
It felt a little tacked on at the end.
yeah, like the only takeaway, I guess, is something a lot of us already assumed, which is this idea that the boy in white has been there for a very, very long time. And if we are to play out a theoretical timeline, those two have sort of been there from the beginning. And then the original versions of Jade and Tabitha, like they showed up presumably not too long after that. It's like the boy in white and the man in yellow, to use this game analogy, they're sort of hosting the game. And then our other characters have been invited to the party at some point, and Jade and Tabitha were there really early. They witnessed a lot of this stuff going down, but there's not a lot of other evidence yet that they themselves have any deeper connection beyond just the man in yellow being like, you guys are as close to friends as I really have.
And there was a lot that was happening in this episode that just doesn't have any explanation. And that's
Mhm.
been something that I've been talking about throughout this whole season, that we're getting kind of small things that come up that could be something and turn into nothing, like the bag of teeth or
Yeah.
Jade's whole trip to get to the door that ended up not being used or, mean anything except that his trip actually was truthful in some sort of way. They never open it. They
Yeah.
never go in. I
Yeah.
was just like, I feel like we're getting things that end up just going nowhere. Even Kenny surviving and learning that all these monsters were tipped off in some sort of way because they were all at the doors, but nobody's sharing this information. And, you know, here we are getting to the end of this, and I'm feeling like it's a lot more of the same, where we're getting, red lightning shooting out of the hole where
Yeah.
the tree used to be, and it's okay, why? What's the point? What's going on? I don't get it.
Yeah.
The people in town are like, wow, that was really something. What could it mean?
Well,
Yeah, exactly. What could it mean?
I think the question is, what are our expectations for From supposed to be at this point? It's sort of, you go to a sideshow and everybody loves a good sideshow, right? And there's always those people who balance all those plates. Are we okay with watching half of the plates fall and still being satisfied that half of the plates are still standing? Because there's plates throwing all over the place this season. You mentioned a bag of teeth. I'm sitting here talking about Sarah, and we've discussed Sarah a lot this season. And like that whole reveal of the voices coming back, going nowhere.
They're playing the violin last
Yeah.
season to get some answers, and now all of a sudden that doesn't matter anymore. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, did you get enough answers from that?
Yeah.
Is there nothing else that you can pull from playing that song maybe again or
Yeah.
anywhere else? It's just like, oh, it's a one time, okay, we got this much
Yeah.
information. That's all the information we need. We don't need to do anything else with this.
And it's just like, what about Julie in the story walking then? Now, I'm
Yeah.
sure there might be an element of that. There might be an element of everything else that's going on with Sarah that gets circled back to in season 5. And if you are binge watching the entirety of the show after it's all aired, maybe this won't be as big of a problem for you. But I think for a lot of us, like really diehard people who have been watching this show for years and years, I kind of feel like it's the finale's job to look at the season in totality and give us at least closure on a decent amount of the storylines, or at least a revisiting of them. Like, I am stunned, especially because Julie was there for a part of the end of last season. That's where we got the whole short hair Julie for the first time. That whole storyline just vanished in the entire second half of the season, where she's doubting herself and whether or not she should do it.
Yeah, entire storylines completely vanished.
Yeah.
Like what happened with Sophia puppeting Sarah for that one episode, and then it just
Yeah.
doesn't matter anymore. And I was just, at that point, I was kind of like, do they not know what to do with Sophia? I don't really
Yeah.
understand what's going on here. They don't know what to do with Sarah.
Yeah.
So they're revisiting this again. I mean, it's interesting that we are almost 15 minutes into this video and we've talked about 0 of the deaths that
I
have
know.
happened, because that Elgin cliffhanger in the last episode, That was good. I was like, oh no, I cannot wait to tune into the
Yeah.
finale. And then to see it just be, she's trying to make a
Yeah.
deal. Hey, if you do this thing for me, I'll help you get home. And he's like, no. And then he dies anyways. I was like, you guys should have just killed him. Like, we already knew that he was on the other side of listening to this town. He lost his eye over it.
Yeah, I don't think he was ever going to do that again. And I think
He knows it's not real.
yeah, and I think we know that Elgin is objectively, at least as far as this town goes, not a bad person. And I think he does want to try to do the right thing. Like everything that happened last season, that was him trying to do what he thought was the right thing at the time. Like he was never off, twirling a mustache or anything like that.
Well, it's also really weird because when Elgin first rolled up to this place, he said that he had a dream like that he had been here before.
Yeah.
It's like that just never came back, and now he's dead.
Is this
We're just never gonna get any answer on that. Did we forget about it?
okay? Well, this is
What's going on here?
mentioning Lost here. Let's bring up the polar bear. No, I mean, it's just like there are things with these shows sometimes where it never feels like we get the right sort of closure. And I'm okay with some of that, but there can't be too much of that. And right now we are in a spot where there's a little bit too much of that. And yeah, we saw Elgin die as heroic a death that I guess someone can have on this show. It wasn't.
Yeah, he didn't take the deal and he's dead.
Yeah, it wasn't that surprising to me. And I mean, losing Marielle at this point, like, I always wanted them to do more with Marielle after what she went through of being one of the three. We got like a tiny taste of it this season, but of course they were going to kill off either her or Christy just because they don't want people to be happy in this town. Like, if you are in a couple, and we'll get into Ellis and Fatima later, it's just like, that is doom. It is just like they do not want anybody to be happy. They're going to find a way to get in here and mess things up for you just because they want constant drama. We already saw this with Jim and Tabitha. Tabitha lost Jim. Now Christy has lost Marielle. It's just like this is a pattern that was sort of bound to repeat itself, and Marielle never really had enough to do anyway.
She didn't have enough to do. Definitely the man in yellow and the tan is going to not want people to be coupled up because there is strength in love. And that is not something that this town thrives off of. It's fear and despair. And now Christy is in that spot. And while they never had enough really to do for Marielle, that death was fire. Oh my goodness. It was really tense. For as much crap as I'm giving this episode, that whole situation where you've got, the talismans on the ground, you've got Smiley walking up, Fatima's in there with Marielle, him ripping her stomach open. I was like, oh my God, this is going so bad, always bad. I just didn't know how Fatima was really going to get out of it because we've only seen a tiny bit of what she's able to do with Smiley. And now he knows it more, where he was like, oh, interesting. Okay, I have a bit of a better idea of what you can do now as well, and left.
Yeah, I thought that was one of, I don't know, the three best scenes of the finale. Like losing Marielle.
Fire, it was great.
Really, yeah, losing her was predictable. The way it happened, really action-packed, really awesome.
Yes.
I love how they handled the Fatima reveal, where it's just like we all knew that everything was happening with Fatima, where she, she wasn't fully human anymore. She was starting to show these elements, her connection with Smiley. But I really appreciate this idea than rather it just being this forced complete transformation. It felt like Fatima had a little bit of autonomy in that moment of sort of saying, I'm going to do this for you guys. I'm going to get you guys out of there. And like for her, who basically has been through the worst of the worst in this town, where she had no choice but to give birth to Smiley. Like she has been stuck having so many things happen to her against her will, that for her to be willing to do this in whatever way that she could in order to help these other people that she loved, like that was as powerful a sacrifice as I have ever seen on this show.
Her actually being able to have control over her own body after not having control of it for 2 seasons now, it was so powerful. It was so well done, and it should have been the last scene. This would have been a completely different video if I was coming out of it and I was like, Oh my goodness. That's the last scene where we see her sacrificing herself
Yeah.
to help everybody get out of there and possibly go home, transforming into that monster and being left in a way where it sounded like she was killed. But was she, or was maybe she killing somebody else? I'm really curious if she's actually dead because listen, we are in TV land
Yeah.
here. Matt and we've been journalists for a very long time,
Yes.
working in TV, like 15 years now. Unless you see a body going into the ground, and sometimes not even then,
Yes.
people always seem to be alive still.
I think we're going to see Fatima again. I think she is gone in, I guess, the human sense, where I think this show just wants to smash our hearts into a million pieces. I think we're going to see a lot of zombie Fatima in this final season. And I'm sure that's going to feel strange for this actress having all this material and then sort of being a monster in the last
And
chapter.
heartbreaking for Ellis, which I
Yes.
hope gives Ellis more to do because he's also a ghost.
Yeah, that's just such a real painful reality, but it's also a reminder for us and for Ellis of what Fatima was able to do. And I think
Yep.
that does create this sort of elevated sense of stakes that Fatima was willing to give her life in order for all of us to get home. We don't want to have to keep seeing her like this. She would not want that either. So we have to figure this out and fast so that we can end this cycle of pain. I'm sure if she does become a full-time monster, we'll see some people try to figure out if there's a way to undo it because she doesn't have the same origin story seemingly as any of these other monsters.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean it can be undone. And I think things shouldn't be undone a lot of the time just because that kind of eliminates the whole purpose of them in the first place.
Well, yeah, her having the connection to Smiley is the thing that's making her the monster, where it seems like the rest of the monsters are there because they had sacrificed the children. But here it's a bit of a different situation where she gave birth to one of them. But is that also kind of a sacrifice? Maybe?
Here is where we're going to get really bizarre, everyone. We're more than 20 minutes in. I feel like we can do this at this point because let's say Fatima, even if she has like the tiniest element of humanity left, where she can find a moment where she can sort of revert back to her old self and pass along information. We already know she's got a connection to Smiley.
Yeah.
Does this transformation create a larger connection with everybody else? And does that give her more information that in just a brief moment she could hand to other people? And sort of where I'm going with all this, it all connects to Ethan. Ethan, who is the de facto hero in some ways, who keeps everything from happening to Victor within this episode without him even knowing. I think the Lake of Tears is going to come up in the final season. I think Monster Fatima could in some ways give information that leads Ethan there. I think Ethan, subconsciously or not, knows that Victor may still be important to all of this, that he's still alive, and he just so happened to be fated in this moment. Like, am I giving Ethan too much credit? Maybe, but at the same time, it's just, I just want a classical hero at the center of all this. Why not have it be him?
He's the only child in this town. There is a reason for that. There's a reason why Victor was the only child person left alive when the rest of the town was all wiped out. There's a reason why it's the children that were all sacrificed, and the same that it's the boy in white, now the man in white, but he was the boy in white. Even Sophia, she's supposed to be 15 years old. She's also a kid. Kids are really the center of a lot of this show that have the most answers, the most knowledge, and are likely the people that are going to be able to get anybody out. But I do think we are going to see Fatima again as well. I think that because she still has some control over herself and over her body, but she could possibly be brought in by the monsters. I know she's fighting them right now, but that doesn't mean that she can't sort of end up becoming kind of the boss of the monsters or be like, oh, okay, I am one of you guys. Let's go get everybody. That she won't convince them in some way to give information that she will be able to get back to the crew.
Yeah, I think this all comes down to what sort of influence the Man in Yellow has on all these people. Does it then extend to Fatima? Like, there's a lot of interesting stuff, the deep dive when it comes to her next season. And like, that's why that storyline was so good. And that's why I think everything with Victor and Henry now is at the very least interesting. It's not as like eye-popping as the Fatima stuff, but because Henry is theoretically still out there. It's just like, what do you do with that guy now? Do you just lock him away? Do you put him in the box? I mean, is Victor going to be okay with that? How much say is Victor even going to have in it now?
That's the thing, right? Like, I mean, people have done all kinds of terrible things
Yes.
in this town. This town makes you see things you're not seeing, do things you would never do. And I do think that it's part of the big part of the reason why I like this show is that there is that element of people do bad things, but is there ways for the human connection and the human condition to get past those things and move on with those same people to be able to grow and continue to have hope and work together to get out? I think they're going to find a way around that.
I really hope so.
Especially because other people like Sarah have, and Elgin, who's now gone, but
Yeah.
other people have done things that are tremendously bad as
Yeah.
well because the town tells them to, that I think there will be not just an understanding, but more of a way to help somebody like Henry now because people in the town have gone through this already.
I think there's so many mysteries and questions that are going to have to be addressed almost right away at the start of season 5. I mean, including just the fact that none of these people are going to be safe anymore. Like Fatima ran around, got Clara to help. All the talisman are going away. So they're going to have to rely on each other.
That's bad news, man.
It's very, very bad news because one of the other things I was left to wonder about was that they're going to find Elgin. Like, they're going to see that Elgin is gone. Somebody conceivably had taken him out. Like, is Sophia now banking on this idea that not everybody's going to be running around immediately? Night's going to pass. They're going to magically find a way to survive. And then they're just going to assume the monsters got rid of Elgin.
I think that she is probably going to take on Elgin's form here or there so that people see him around town. Nobody knows him that deeply. So it's not the same as taking on Jim's form, which I still think would have been a much more interesting story. Trying to balance that. Jim has been really erratic the past couple of seasons. So
Yeah.
I don't know how much his family was really going to notice that it wasn't Jim. But Elgin is somebody that not everybody knows that well. And I think that she can get away with that to still have Elgin around, somebody that, people are rebuilding trust with, etc., etc.
Before we tie everything up with this finale, we do have to venture into Boyd Corner here for a moment, because speaking of loose end stories, everything with Boyd and Abby, like, even with it being connected in some ways to Henry, it's like that didn't really go anywhere. And it's like,
No.
this is the star of your show. This is somebody who just completely knocks it out of the park anytime you give him great material. Him yelling at Patty in the car to shut the blank up had me cackling. I'm sorry. I know it was supposed to be scary.
I also just actually loved that character of Patty having that kind of a freak out because I've been waiting for anybody to have that kind of a crash out. The things that are happening to the people in this town, people are upset about them, people are scared, but this particular reaction should have long happened before now, where they are just so paralyzed in fear, crashing out, freaking out, not knowing what to do, trying to end it all for themselves in a moment of just pure terror. Like, the things that people have seen, that they've all gotten so desensitized to this stuff. It was nice to see somebody not feel that and actually just feel like human. If I was in that town, I'd be Patty, freaking out. Like, the things that she's seeing and going through, I don't know why this hasn't happened before now in quite a significant way like this.
I think the biggest surprise to me out of the entire finale is that Patty is not dead. Like, she is not Red Shirt Roger at this point. She's had a little bit more screen time.
She has.
But she's one of those people they could have easily killed in a number of different ways in this episode. I'm shocked she's still out there, but that's where we are coming out of the From Season 4 finale, guys. We do want to hear from you. Did you really enjoy this? Did you find the reveals, especially at the end, to be disappointing? Are you kind of questioning how are they ever going to be able to tie up every single loose end? Like, we more than understand that feeling, but
Mhm.
let us know that in the comments. And you can support us further by joining our memberships. We are covering over there right now Sugar on Apple TV, starring Colin Farrell.
Yep.
Really, really great show. Thank you so much for your
Thank
support.
you.
We'll see you here next time.